starting off, we have our consent agenda before us, and all commissioners are present. I do have a couple of changes to the minutes from last time. Others present, we also had Raina Lavore was also there. There was also some other person I just can't remember the name of who was there as well. And then we don't have our units for the distance, so there's no feet or inches or what the variance should have been, so it'd be nice to have that corrected. So with that, if anybody else has anything from this?
Well, I wasn't there, but I want to make sure that the motion, the second motion in the minutes,
Yeah.
to approve the Hedstrom variance is, I'm guessing
Oh.
that should say Hamilton instead.
Yeah, that looks like an artifact.
Yeah, okay. I couldn't tell. All right, and thank you for that, Denise. Appreciate it. And other than that, anything else from commissioners on the minutes from last time? Anything? Okay, great. With that, I would entertain a motion.
I'll second.
There we go.
Okay.
Those two. Excellent. So moving on, we have one big thing. The St. John variance request. It sounds like we do have a presentation. We are going to take comments. We just thought it might be nice to see what we're talking about first, and maybe some of your questions might be answered with that. So we will start there. If you will introduce yourselves, make sure your microphones are facing towards you so we can hear you.
Yep. Hi, Joel St. John here, developer, along with my wife Amy, who's couldn't be with us today. I'm here with Mike Fisher, sorry, from LHB, who's our architecture and engineering lead, as well as our builders, Carrie and Dusty Bowen behind me, who are general contractors and are here to answer any questions that may come up from that end. We're here to present very preliminary plans on a mixed-use business development on properties that we own between 21 West Wisconsin and 15 Wisconsin Street. We've got a good working concept here on how we want to present and bring to Grand Marais a good mix of businesses that we feel are in need after the fires of 2020. Some mixes of income that are going to make us successful and help us take things forward and fill that empty space that's currently housing some food trucks. We're here to answer any questions that people might have. We're feeling good with where we're at in terms of city ordinance and code. We're under 30 feet, 10 units or less, and we're providing parking for the lodging units with our lot at 9 Broadway. We are here to answer any questions beyond what we've provided already that people might have, and we're excited to hopefully take the next step and get before the council with people's blessing. Okay. And that's, we're here to answer any questions from people that have attended. We've got members of the EDA, VCC here that are in support of the project. We've spent 3 years, acquiring the footprint. Obviously a fairly good investment there already, but we're excited to bring sort of new life to that block where there was a lot of losses 4 years ago. We're privately owned. We don't have we don't have outside investors at all investing in this. We're going to be living here. We're going to be running our business, and we're excited to be more of a part of the community than we already are. With
Very
that,
good.
we'll open it up to any questions or whatever the process
Okay.
is from here.
Would you be willing to just walk through the plans quick
Absolutely.
and kind of give a
Yes.
presentation of what you're intending?
Yep, so up on the screen, we've got our main level, and we've allotted colors just so you can sort of differentiate the spaces. We are looking at making the restaurant a little bit smaller and dedicating a little bit more space to the bar lobby area over there to the right. Our goal is to create a real open concept flow between the restaurant and the bar lounge lobby area, and even a little bit of flow into that retail 2 space. We've got some great retail partners interested in possible cafe, secondary cafe option. A lot of irons in the fire with retail partners as well as restaurant. But overall, the alley entrance will serve as a service entrance to the back of the building where you'll see storage, laundry, back entrance into the kitchen, easy access, and then also to get to our parking lot, which is behind, adjacent to this lot back here. The important thing to note that the space, as far as layout goes, is definitely still getting tweaked, but it's not going to get any bigger than this because it can't. But in general, this is our mix of businesses on our main level: restaurant, hotel, lobby, lounge, 2 retail spaces, kitchen, and laundry storage area, and a utility area in the back.
Right.
Then moving up to the second level, we've got our event space and all of our lodging units, 10 lodging units and an office. This is our current working design: egress in all the rooms, sprinklered rooms, all ADA. One big thing that we're working on moving forward is looking at creating more of a hybrid space between the event room and the rooftop deck, which we'll get to on the next slide. And just access, elevator access, making sure we've got the headroom so we don't go over 30 feet, items like that. So that's probably the biggest thing on this design here that is still a work in progress, is sort of combining the rooftop deck and event center into more of a hybrid space, 2/3 of it maybe being covered and enclosed and 1/3 of it being open on the rooftop deck. But that's a TBD item as we move into more of the architectural detail as well as our exteriors.
I want to just mention that a little bit more about just where we are in terms
Exteriors.
of the code stuff and all of that other stuff.
Yeah, so Mike from LHB is our architecture firm lead, as well as our engineering. And just adhering to all code, elevator access to the second floor, as well as any event space, any rooftop decks. You'll see there's a service elevator as well as a passenger elevator that will be able to get all the way up to the rooftop deck. But as far as code goes, you know, we've got egress in all the lodging units and all the event spaces, on all of the rooftop deck exits and entrances. And we just are going to be following all building code for commercial spaces and Department of Health. Is that kind of what you're alluding to?
Yeah, so do you mind if I just?
Absolutely, Mike, jump in.
Want to chime in. So LHB was brought on board just a couple, 2-3 weeks ago. And so what you're seeing here is, I would call like a program diagram almost. So the point was that, and Larry Bowen has been involved in this and done great work up to this point to fit all these program elements on this site.
Yeah.
So what you're seeing, and the reason it's colorized like that, is to show all of the elements and that they're all going to fit within this metaphorical box. You know, it's not going to be higher than 30 feet, and it's not going to go beyond the property lines and all of that. But I can guarantee you right now that a lot of those lines are going to move around, right? Like, we're studying, well, we got to make it all meet code and all of those things.
Right.
And we're going to look at the best, you know, we're working with Joel and Carrie and the team about different ways you can arrange these spaces to get maybe more efficiency, or what's the right size for every space. And that's all going to happen. And so I just don't think, we want to be very open about that that will evolve. So what you see here is not going to be what the final looks
Gotcha.
like.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Yeah. All right. Well, with that, I know that people will have questions. We've had some explanation at this point as to what we're looking at. You know, we are here because it is a large project. Other than that, it is matching our requirements. So that's the thing. That's what we're talking about. We all wanted to have a little look-see before we said, yes, go ahead. And so that is why we are here, to look at it. But if people have questions, I suspect most of them will be for them, but for us as well, we can go ahead. If we can keep our comments shortish, that would be great. And we can start with whomever.
Do you think you guys could vacate your spot?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And as many of you probably already know, but when you come forward, if you can just say your name and, I mean, we know.
I have to run shortly, but I thought
Okay.
I'd come down and say that. Congratulations,
And your name. too.
Howard Hedstrom.
Right.
Thank you. There's a group of us, Mike was in on it, Tim and Beth. Some of the other people. Right after the fire, I kind of chaired a group looking at what we can do with that property. Congratulations, the work we did 3 years ago, it looks a lot like this. So I just want to endorse the project. I think Joel's a strong partner to pull this off. It'll be good for the community. If it would have been me, I would have gone 3 stories and you'd be here talking about heights, but that's a different story.
Oh, we wouldn't be.
Be a shorter
Anyway.
conversation.
Pardon? A different conversation.
Yeah.
Sure. I might be back. Anyway, I endorse the project. Very happy to see it coming this far and encourage you to give it a good result. So, thanks.
Great. Thanks, Howard.
Thanks, Howard.
Anybody else? Tim? Yeah? All right.
Tim Kennedy. Yeah, Beth and I, have had a personal interest in this project. We had one of the properties that burned down, and, as Howard said, we spent a long time talking about a concept that maybe would have brought this back to life for each of the 3 businesses that were destroyed in the fire. But in the end, I think it was decided that we didn't have the capacity to take on a project that was going to look something like this, but we certainly saw the potential and the need for, this corner in town to be reestablished as a main part of downtown. And this effort that Joel has put together is, I think, reflective of that. This is going to be, I think, a great asset to the downtown community. It really is something that's future-looking and is meant for the long term. We've always talked about the need for an event center, gathering place in the Grand Marais. We've never really had that. This might fill some of those needs, restaurant and other facilities to go along with it. So our hope is that you'll support this, see this as a value to the community, and help to further strengthen the downtown business core. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, Tim.
Thanks, Tim.
Anybody else? Next? Anyone? All right. Well, then
I just had one quick
do you want to come out to the microphone? Tell us who you are.
Jill Terell. I have Joy & Company, which is the next business up.
Right.
And I'm just wondering how this works with the alleyway going through there. It's a major delivery corridor, and I'm not sure how that has been planned in with what you're doing.
Well, I didn't catch the first part of your comment.
I'm just wondering about the alleyway.
Uh-huh.
That's a major corridor for deliveries.
Sure.
I'm just wondering how that has been factored into what
You
you're
know,
doing along
The
that
alley
area.
will be used for us, as a loading zone, for the restaurant, and, so, yeah, there'll be occasional trucks coming through, but, other than that, I can't see it, other than maybe people getting through it to access what will be a new parking lot, but there will be more traffic there. And probably food delivery trucks pulling up in there, without a doubt.
Okay. That was just my question. If
Yeah.
that was going to continue to function the same way. So.
Yep, it's still
Oh,
going to be
yeah.
an alley.
Gotcha.
Absolutely. We're not
Thank
taking
you.
that piece
Thanks,
over.
Jill.
Good question, thank you.
It really should function the way that it did when the buildings were there prior to the fire.
Yeah.
The walls being about the same space.
Okay. Great. And any other comments or questions before we move on? Okay. Over to commissioners. Do commissioners have questions? For
Yes?
Yeah. Well, I knew that. I meant the other commissioners.
Okay. I'll let others go first. Maybe my questions will be answered.
There, you never know. Anton, do you have any?
Do we need to have any record of these?
Right. That's a good point. So for the email, I guess, comments, do we read them into the record, or?
It's your choice. We'll include them in the packet that goes to the council if you make a recommendation, so that they can see
Okay.
them as well as any of the comments that were made tonight.
Okay, well, I would say that, that'll work.
And these were the only ones that we received.
Yeah.
You want me to go first?
Yeah, you got it. That's something.
Sure. I'll maybe briefly, just because it's going to get attached to the packet anyways, I'll address what I understand from the application process to maybe some of these questions. So the first one that's from Seth McDonald at Dairy Queen, he just asked about parking. And I think initially there wasn't the detailed plan
Right.
of the parking. So I think that seems like maybe that would, I can't speak for him, but that would probably address his, one of his concerns.
Do we want to just clarify that too? If anybody hasn't seen that, the intention is to take the lot that is directly
do we have a
south of
picture
City
of that?
Hall and develop 18 parking spaces on it.
Yeah, I guess you can.
So it's this lot of these.
Yeah.
There was the other, yeah.
Yeah.
There was one more that we got from
Do you have that
Larry.
Oh, the actual record
Yeah.
of the parking.
Just only
Yeah, we've
because
got
one of
that.
the other letters that we got was talking about concern about like traffic flow, which was addressed in that drawing that you guys
Yep.
gave us.
It's also, it's in the packet for this meeting on the city's website if anybody wants to
Okay.
take a look anytime.
So
Okay.
just for
Yeah, there we go.
that, I think is helpful for people to be able to see. And answering those questions, I guess. And the other one is talking about facade and detail work, and I think there's been some chatter about that. Obviously, like at the point of the design process, it is just not at the point where you would, until this process is done and the council is given a blessing, you would want to invest more time and money into dialing in details of finishes and things like that.
Yep, absolutely.
I would say, from your past projects and working with Carrie on the Mayhew building and seeing what that looks like and how that fits in, right? There was a comment about what is the, you know, oh, it's got to match the aesthetic of Grand Marais, and it's like, well, what's that? Tell me what that is, right? Because I don't know what it is. But I do think that what you've done previously, and if this is the same direction you're going, you know, like I don't have a concern with that side of it. I think that what you'll do will, you're not gonna make everybody happy, but I think that you'll take into account what looks good and what lasts, and, you know, so I'm excited to see what happens there. I do think that this is, like Tim brought up in his comment, I think that the need for a space for gatherings, for whatever it is, it's reunions or weddings or things, like I think that's something that has been discussed back when I was on the council, which was for 8 years, like we talked about that, and us as the city trying to potentially find some sort of space or something we could do to do that, and that never went anywhere. So I think, you know, there's a large part of the community was missing after the fires, and it's kind of been this windswept, you know, there has been good ideas, things that have moved in.
Yeah.
You know, I like the idea of like the food trucks and things that have been there in the summertime, that is nice, but, you know, now it's just cold and dusty, I'd say snowy, but it's not a lot, you know, and so I think this is a huge undertaking. And I personally am, you know, I don't have any issues. I think the fact that you're partnering and working with LHB, who is the city's engineer, it gives us good points of contact. We know Mike, and, you know, I personally am excited for it. I appreciate the keeping things under 30 feet, because, you know, that would be a much different conversation. But you can build lot line to lot line in the downtown core district, and looks like you gave yourself 5 and 9/32 inch away from those pins in a few spots. So, you know, I mean, that's, I think, you know, that it's, you own the lot, you can do that. And I think I guess I'm excited to see what will happen, and I appreciate the cost that goes into buying a lot just to turn it into a parking lot. I kind of hate that, but I also understand that that's something that we need because parking is a crunch downtown. So anyway, that's, I guess, my take on it is I think it's an exciting idea, and I'm excited to see kind of the next steps once it, if it gets out here and past the council, like where you guys go with it, and the creativity that will go into kind of making it all work.
Great. All right, Ben?
I don't have any questions right now.
No?
No.
All right. Floor is yours.
Yeah, so I have questions about heating and propane tanks and garbage and where all that is going and how you're going to plan for that.
Yep. Right now, I want to go back to that main level. So to the rear, very most top of the page, you'll see our dumpsters and our trash and our recycling outside of our little utility shop there. So that's where the trash will be going for everybody, and the recycling, off the back loading area. Right now, there's a couple conversations going on the propane and the power. We're exploring geothermal. But as far as propane goes, we're also exploring induction for our kitchen. A little bit safer than propane. Propane's a heavy gas, it can find pockets, it doesn't like to vent, and right now we're gonna be venting out the top of the building. So the restaurant partners that we're talking to, we're exploring induction with them, depending on the food concept. Some chefs like it, some don't. Some walk away. But if it were propane, the tank would likely live due to setbacks over on our parking lot area, and it would possibly run under the alley.
That's awfully complicated. I'm sure
Yeah.
it's possible, but there's a lot of stuff in that alley. And
Yeah.
yeah, we're encouraging the idea of all electric building, but I'm sure there's a way to figure this out that works for everybody.
So that's an ongoing conversation. If it were me and I had the restaurant partner that I wanted, and they nodded and they said, yep, we're good with it, we would go induction in the kitchen and broom the propane.
Okay.
But that's not a final.
And if they do go propane,
Yeah.
it's
Our rules
possible.
will,
We will make it possible. Okay, that's what
I mean, it makes
Well-
me nervous to think about basically a pipeline that crosses the alley.
Yeah.
The number of utilities that we have in the alley that we might need to dig up from time to time. But it's a manageable issue. It's just complicated.
yeah. But it would be,
if something else changes on the plan. Okay. All right. And I just want to verify the lodging, 10 units, and how many beds?
Some are 2 bedrooms, some are 3. And they're, someone books a 3-bedroom, doesn't mean they're using all 3, but yeah, some are
Yeah.
smaller, some are bigger. It's a lot like the Mayhew that we built, where they're 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms are sort of scalable, but yeah.
And so that's
good
why I'm
mix.
wondering about the parking spaces. If you said 18 parking spaces, but you have most likely more people, more cars showing up than 18.
Sure.
What do you do over at Mayhew if that happens?
It doesn't happen that often, but what we do tell people, the full disclosure, is say, just stay off of Main Street, stay off of First, especially in the wintertime. If you need to park on the street, definitely don't park in front of the businesses, leave those for customers. And it doesn't have, the 6 spots that we've got, it's rare that we need more than that, but yeah, there's always a couple, full disclosure, for sure.
yeah.
I think that was my main questions. You got my other ones answered.
All right, Brandon.
No, I don't think I have anything.
Okay. Well, since we can look here and we know that, this does conform to our requirements for the downtown, and we are here because of its size, it seems like we have a pretty good plan, and, in my mind, it seems like we're conforming to all the things that we've asked. I like that you guys have gone ahead and done that. I'm very happy that we're at the 30 feet, and we didn't have to fight about that. That's great, and looks like, it appears to me that we might have a good relationship going here, so make sure that we keep on going forward. So with that, Commissioners, I would entertain a motion at this time, if anybody has one.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Motion.
What's your motion?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask.
I would make a motion to approve the St. John conditional use request.
Great. And Ben, you'll second
And I
that?
will second that.
Excellent, great. All right.
The 4 typical questions here in terms of findings that you'll need to make in order to,
Well, and I felt like, Mike, that in terms of those findings, I think we are clearly in balance on all of them. That was my take on them. I mean, you seem to think like maybe not.
no, I don't think that at all. I
Okay.
just want you to be able to voice if you have any specific things you want to say about those. If not, we'll happily interpret your conversation and put it in the council packet.
Yeah, I mean, I think here we can see, yes, it fits into the neighborhood. We know those types of things are happening here already. And, we have lodging on the second floor, not on the first floor, under 30 feet, et cetera. And it's, going to be within what we would expect for the orderly development of the neighborhood, that it's within bounds. It's, it is going to be more traffic, but we, in this case, would like more traffic because it's empty at this time. And it is, consistent with our hoped pattern of development, or as much as we have a plan for a development there. So I feel like we're right in there. So-
You've already expressed this, but I also want to express this, that I appreciate the amount of effort that Joel and Carrie and the design team has put into both understanding what our rules are and then
Yes.
changing their plans to make sure that they comply with them. So the zoning ordinance is what the community's policy is. When we say this is what we want, we write it in the zoning ordinance. And they put a lot of effort into understanding that, which to me says they're interested in hearing what the community wants. Now, community, keep that in mind. The zoning ordinance is what we say we want, so we better make sure we like what it says.
Yep.
And from time to time, we have open seats on this board, and they get to help craft with that document.
Yes. Great. Okay, well, with that, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion passes. We'll send this off to the council. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Yep.
you.